We're here at New York Comicon with Marvel writer Dan Slott. Was just in your panel for the Initiative.
Oh, wow.
Giving it the good old sell there.
Really, the hard sell, that's what I'm all about. The super, super, super hard sell. So.
I don't think it's going to be that hard to sell to some of the fans here. Can we talk about some of these?
Sure.
Has this been released?
Yes, this has been released.
Okay.
Though I believe we're going to change the word balloon.
Oh, are you now?
Mm-hmm.
So he doesn't need a lawyer?
No, the word balloon will now read, objection, leading the witness.
Now,
no joke is too obvious.
Which issue is that then?
This is going to be the first issue, 19. This is going to be the first issue after World Without a Hulk.
In the panel, you mentioned an issue that was going to deal with the civil liberties ramifications of.
Well, actually, She-Hulk is something really important is going to happen in She-Hulk, the last issue of Planet Without a Hulk.
Right. Okay. I'm willing to bet. Yeah.
And anyone who's been following it knows that even when we're doing a 4-issue arc, each issue does kind of stand on its own and give you a full unit of entertainment. With the thing that happens in this issue is so pivotal to what's going on in World War Hulk that the minute this issue ends, there's like 10 seconds later, it picks up directly after this issue into Hulk 106. And once Hulk 106 is over, it goes directly into the World War Hulk prologue. And She-Hulk is the through line for all 3 issues that you're going to follow her boom, boom, boom. So you need this issue.
Is it nice seeing a character that you've been working on for a while being raised to this kind of level of importance in an event like this?
It's really cool. I'm really grateful to Greg for pushing her. To me, the most gratifying thing is working on a character this long, because you really do get into their head, into their world, all their supporting casts and all their characters, and you start caring about them and worrying about them. And I'm so worried if I ever leave the book. It'd almost be like leaving your children in someone else's care. So, and it's fun. Like, I like also taking certain characters and putting them on the shelf for a while. And then people start bugging you, like, where's Southpaw? Where's Southpaw? You'll have to see. I keep getting all these private messages about Pug.
Really?
Where's Pug? What have you done to Pug?
We need more Pug.
Pug.
Let's talk about the Initiative. It actually ended up being different than what I thought it was going to be. So it's kind of the Marvel training book.
It is. The Initiative is. It is. It's about the boot camp.
Yeah.
It's going to be if you're good enough to go into one of these 50-state teams.
That's a really interesting idea.
Yeah, it's all about. It's like if you're someone with superpowers in the Marvel universe. You can't, like, let's say you can fly. It's like one of the things you see right off the bat in the first issue of the Initiative is a superhero, not a mutant. That's also the fun thing, is that anytime you meet a new character now, because of M-Day, these are real superhero characters. It's not someone rolling out of bed and going, I need a new character. They're a mutant.
We got 13 years until there are no more new mutants in the world.
Exactly. So you have to actually earn your powers now. You got to get zapped from something from outer space, magic relic, bitten by a radioactive who's who what's it. Yeah, it's good old-fashioned, you're a superhero. So you can see, like, one of the first things that happens is, here you have a superhero character, Cloud9, who has the ability to fly. And if you're a small, low-flying object in a post-9/11 world, and you haven't like booked a flight plan with the FAA, you're in big trouble, and they're going to scramble jets.
Right.
And they're going to force you down, and they're going to say, hey, you need a license. And by the way, you're registered, and get your butt to boot camp.
Now, you mentioned it. You mentioned in the panel about getting to create a bunch of new characters for this series, and you mentioned one Komodo, which I think is a great idea. Can you talk about Komodo and then talk about some of the other characters?
Well, there's Cloud9, who's it's all about the power of flight and enjoyment and freedom. Someone who might not be the prettiest girl in school, but she has this wonderful secret, and it allows her to, like, go anywhere she wants, do anything she can, and then suddenly she finds out there's a terrible price to pay for it. It's also you got Cloud9, Komodo, the Gauntlet, who was introduced in She-Hulk in a tiny background shot.
Okay.
But now he's rising to prominence, and he's going to be your drill sergeant.
Oh, really?
He's going to be your Full Metal Jacket, Sergeant Emery,
all right.
or your Louis Gossett Jr., officer.
So are we going to see anyone flip out during boot camp?
You're going to see. That's the whole. There's a very important question there. That if you have superpowers, you have to get licensed. And part of the whole thing about licensing is having your training. If you're a superpowered person, you can't help that person on the ground unless you know your CPR and you know triage, or you can't go and deal with that problem unless you've had hostage training. You don't get to do something without the skills. So what happens if you go through the initiative and you don't pass? What if you don't make it through the program? What happens to that person?
One of the things that I found interesting in the panel, you got a question towards the end, someone wondering if this was truly the natural progression of the Marvel Universe. And what I found interesting is, before this, when you're reading Marvel, you kind of had to suspend disbelief that they wouldn't have regulations and things like this in place. But now it seems there's some readers who have to suspend that disbelief and accept that, this is how it's going to happen now.
The wonderful thing about Marvel is that, for the most part, they really don't, shake the Etch-a-Sketch.
Right.
They don't Superboy punch. Yeah. They don't suddenly retcon things away. So for me as a creator, it's like when suddenly the plots for Civil War are coming across your desk, and they say, Dan, you need to read this.
Right.
This is affecting the Marvel Universe. It makes your job easier.
Okay.
Because you go, wow, that was weird. How would that affect my book? Right. What kind of stories come out of that?
Right.
And you got to go with the flow. And that's part of the fun of the Marvel Universe. You better be reading your Marvel books, because when something happens, it's going to have meaning. Right. It's going to have ramifications. It's going to have repercussions. And conversely, I get this total buzz when I see that happening backwards, where suddenly I see an issue of Illuminati, where suddenly Reed Richards holds up this gem and goes, She-Hulk just gave this to me after the Titania fight. Awesome!
Right.
It's cool. It's a rich tapestry.
You're known as having a lot of humor in your writing. Do you ever feel pigeonholed by that?
All
Do you enjoy
the time.
Okay.
Well, no, it's not that. I think that's what She-Hulk is about.
Right.
It's about looking at the absurdity of the Marvel Universe. It's about saying, if I lived in this world and I took this on face value, boy, this is really silly.
Right.
People running around, not silly in people running around with underwear outside their pants, kind of silly. Silly in that, you can't, the ghost who testifies at his own murder trial.
Trade paperbacks allowable as evidence in court.
All this kind of weirdness that we see in the Marvel Universe, and just going, okay, suspension of disbelief, and run with it. And just have fun. But, and something like Spider-Man, Human Torch, is me just going, I'm having fun.
Right.
The same thing with The Thing, just doing this fun Bronze Age book. With Avengers: The Initiative, this is more of a straightforward superhero book. This is more like if you look at something I did like Arkham Asylum, where I got to create new characters and explore this weird world.
Right.
And it's serious and it's dark. With the Avengers Initiative, it's more hardcore. It's a military book. It's a book about missions and action and